A little bit of a change of topic here, but an important one to families everywhere. There's alarming news about traffic fatalities. The number of deaths in the first half of this year rose by more than 10%. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, that amounts to more than 17,000 fatalities. And recent reports suggest the uptick is because of technology and because of distracted driving. That may not be all, though. We're going to talk more about this with Ken Korlash, who's spokesperson of the National Safety Council. Dr. Karen Ruskin is a licensed family therapist and psychotherapist, and Oliver McGee is an engineering professor at Texas Tech and the former U.S. Deputy Assistant Secretary of Transportation for Technology Policy. It's great to have you all with good titles. Ken, let me start with you. There is an uptick of fatalities, but also gas prices are lower. There are Americans that are driving more. So is this about technology, or is it simply because there's more Americans on the road?
Traffic fatalities tend to ebb and flow with the economy. When the economy is good, more miles are being driven, and unfortunately more fatalities also occur. But the reality is we're only seeing about 3.5% increases in miles driven from year to year, while we're seeing in 2015 a 7% increase in deaths, and now in 2016 a 10% increase in deaths. So we know more is happening than just more miles being driven because of the good economy.
So Ken, would you say then that it's more than just the miles? It does have something to do with the technology?
That's what the National Safety Council fears, that the recent increase in use of apps and texting have all shown to increase the risk of crashes.
Dr. Ruskin, you say we have a hooked-on-phone crisis. Why is that, and how do you think that applies here?
Technology is at the heart of being a vessel in which offers us the opportunity to enter that vessel and then be distracted. And it's up to us to manage our compulsions, our addictive impulses. When we have this split attention focus, where we have technologies being before us while we're in the middle of driving, there's this impulse, this need to want to utilize that technology. We must set our own ground rules for what's acceptable and not acceptable when we are driving.
I want to ask you about how to do that. Oliver, I wonder, though, how technology can also be part of the solution, not just a distraction for drivers, but something that actually helps.
Well, when we look at the Trump transition team right now, they're going to be focusing on capital, technology, and competition, global competitiveness of America. We have to bring smart cars with smart trains and smart airplanes, because basically what we're doing and seeing in these autonomous vehicles, an airplane, a train, and an automobile, is that we're going to be on autopilot. They're all going to be driven by black boxes, and we're going to be looking at autonomous vehicles all over in the air, in the sky, and on the ground, and on the rail. And we're going to be looking at black boxes in the cloud in a whole new way. I think basically when we look at Representative Bill Schuster in the House Committee of Transportation Infrastructure, and then Senator John Thune of South Dakota on the House, on the Senate side, we're going to be looking at a $1 trillion investment in transportation infrastructure, and that's over 10 years. That's the largest transportation infrastructure development that we've seen in decades. And this is going to be a brand new opportunity to bring all kinds of technology in how we transport ourselves.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. I have to take a quick commercial, because we can all state the problem, and certainly I know in our own lives we probably have experienced this distracted driving. It's really easy to do. What the solution is a bigger question. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back with all of you. Love to hear your thoughts about distracted driving and what we can really do about it. We're seeing fatalities rise, and some are saying this is one of the reasons, because we have our phones out all the time. Ken, what do you propose to any of our viewers to solve this problem?
Well, technology got us into this problem, and in part technology can help to get us out of the problem, but it's really a responsibility for all of us. Obviously, each individual driver can make the choice not to be distracted on their phone. Simply put it in their glove compartment when they get in the car. But beyond that, the National Safety Council is leading a coalition, the Road to Zero, which is a coalition of public and private agencies that's dedicated to eliminating traffic deaths within 30 years. Part of this will be speeding the transition to autonomous vehicles.
Autonomous vehicles, it just sounds so foreign, but I guess that is the direction we're going. Dr. Ruskin, you talked about compulsion. This is something that totally resonated with me. You know, I could put my phone in my purse, but it's at a stoplight. that I can't help but just check, double check, whether it's directions or a text message that I don't even need to look at. What about that compulsion?
Yeah.
How do you stop that?
That compulsion is there. It's difficult when you hear the noise or the vibration, you want to look, or even as you said, you're at the stoplight, maybe you don't hear a noise, but you just still want to see what's going on. It's imperative that we choose to be mindful of taking ownership of how we respond to and the kind of relationship we have with our technological devices. I help my clients to understand that we cannot control what is happening around us, meaning the changing technologies. What we can control is how we adapt, readjust, and the choices that we make
so what do you
and
do?
how we react.
Dr. Ruskin, I'm curious, what do you do personally? How do you handle this?
The way I work it is when I'm driving in the car, my phone is in my bag is zipped. It is absolutely a no, you cannot stick your hand in that bag while you are driving. I wait till I get to my destination, and then I get to open up the bag. You have to set up ground rules as an adult. Adults are struggling with this, and you must meet with your driving teens to come up with ground rules with them, not for them, with them, so that they can create some concrete rules that work for them.
You know, I'm all about setting up rules for my kids. It's important to make sure that I show that I can follow my own. Oliver,
role modeling and with them, absolutely.
I mean, they're young, but they're going to be driving soon enough. Oliver, what is the solution for you? What do you think is the right thing for all of us to do?
Well, this is about smart cars and smart highways, and the Trump administration is really calling for private-public partnerships. And so I'm calling for the Silicon Valley to step in here. We can basically put blockers on these apps when the car is moving. And we can basically stop the Snapchatting and stop the texting while the car is moving. Essentially, if you are texting, it's equivalent to you had 4 beers, and so you're drunk. But if you are Snapchatting, which is a combination of texting and also tweeting and Instagramming all at the same time, that's equivalent if you had 2 pictures of beer and you are gassed, according to Andy Griffin, and you're going to be arrested by Barney Fife. Because the key issue is you cannot control a vehicle while you're Snapchatting.
Wow. I mean,
so really we need to look at a public-private partnership for Silicon Valley to speak to Detroit and say, hey, can we put some types of technologies to control these things? Remember, we're talking about black boxes on the planes, trains, and automobiles going into the cloud.
It brings up some interesting questions about Big Brother as well, and how much we want that involved. But, you know, it really hits home when you say texting is like having a couple drinks. Thank you to the panel. We appreciate all of you, and we look forward to having you back. Thank you.
Thank you.
Give me your phone.
It's right here. It's right next to me. You see, it's like it's right there. It's always right there. But it is driving. You know, you really do have to put it in the back seat. It's very difficult.